Omar, let me tell you something, man. And there ain't no hate here at all, cause I like some of the work he does. I really do. Listen, man, I don't
He said
I don't do nothing for $10,000. Don't even insult. Don't insult the brand equity that I've built over these 30 years of television. I just don't, man. And I'm doing this absolutely free of charge because I want this country to be in her hands as opposed to Donald Trump's hands. That's why I do it. Now, me and Ricky Smiley happen to be on the same page. Now, we Q's now, and so is D.L. Hughley.
But the present generation of Negro college students, who are not the children but the great-grandchildren of slaves, do not wish to recall their past. As they ride to school in their automobiles, they prefer to think of the money which they will earn as professional and businessmen. For they have been taught that money will bring them justice and equality in American life, and they propose to get money. There we go.
I'm sure you all have seen or heard about Dr. Umar on, I believe it was Sunday, that he came out and with all due respect, he gave a shout out to Ricky Smiley and D.L. Hughley. Basically, he was saying that he had been poached. That someone came to him saying that I will offer you $10,000 to do an interview with Kamala Harris, because when you think about people like Dr. Umar, when you think of Vicky Dillard, when you think of Phil Scott, when you think of Tariq Nasheed, when you think of people like this, you think about those, the guy from South Carolina, I forgot his name, but he raw. I'm ready for him to run for something. But he's from South Carolina and went all the way in somebody a few weeks ago. I think the guy from Fresh and Fit, he went all the way inside and he pulled out his heart, his lungs, and all of his organs. He just pulled it out of him because he read him his rights. But anyway, when you talk about people like this, you're talking about the grassroots. You're talking about individuals who may have, some change in investments and assets in the bank or put off somewhere, but they have not forgotten about their people. They interact with the people who is at the corner store. They interact with people who are at the grocery store, the barber salons, people, everyday people. That's what you call grassroots. So these individuals are grassroots. So basically, that's what Dr. Umar was talking about, that, he would be glad to sit down and talk to Kamala Harris, but he doesn't want any money because he wants to ask the questions that Steve refuses to ask. Another thing, one of the things that Steve will say in his response to Dr. Umar that I felt was very disrespectful was he said, basically, you $10,000, you can't move me for $10,000. You can't have me to cut on my radio for $10,000. And I believe him and DL and Ricky Smiley, they all said that they have not been paid by the Harris campaign. Cool. You don't have to be paid. A lot of these people, even those who were at the Democratic convention, and especially these three, Steve goes on to say within this interview, he says that him, D.L. Hughley, and Ricky Smiley, they're all Qs. And he said the Qs, the black Greek letters, the Qs, they pretty much run the airways for black radio. They pretty much run it. So they're able to get a message out. See, they don't have to specifically get paid from the Democratic or the Republican. They don't have to specifically get paid by these entities, but there can be perks. There can be special perks involved. There can be certain benefits involved. There can be certain carrots dangled in front of your face if you are involved. I don't necessarily have to pay you with money, but I can promise your future will be brighter than what it already has. What profits a man to gain the whole wide world and lose the soul? When you know that these people are calling into your show and they're concerning issues that really are affecting them on an everyday basis, and you could care less because you have been promised, even if you haven't gotten any monetary funds, your future is bright and secure as long as you keep pushing the agenda. And that lets me know. Now, if these people were giving sound advice and had reasoning behind their position, that would be one thing. But when you have your callers calling in and saying, listen, my gas is high. Listen, I can't afford groceries to feed my family. Listen, I got a promotion last year, but it looked like I'm making less than what I was when I was at a lower value. Listen, and I'm in a different tax bracket. Listen, we're getting pushed out of the way. They don't want to accept my voucher anymore, or my rent that was $1,200 every month, it's going up to $1,800. I mean, these are what the callers are saying. That both DL, both Steve, both Ricky Smiley, they're telling y'all what the problem is, but you all have been bought with a price. See, it's much bigger than this. This is their niche. This is what the Qs do. This is their niche. This is what the powers that be have given them an opportunity to do what they want them to do. And if you continue, if you be a good boy, be a good boy. If you be a good boy, I'll make sure you have this type of bone. I'm gonna give you a ham bone. I'm gonna give you a turkey leg. But you gotta be a good boy. And you're willing to sell your people short. You're willing to sell your people short. It's deeper than what you know. Let's get right to it. And then
Well, first of all, we're going to have her on her again, or how many other times it's needed to get her into office.
To get the vote.
Brother Umar, let me say this, man. I absolutely love some of the things you say. I really, really do, man. Some of the stuff I don't always agree with, but ain't nobody got to agree with everything I say. But let me clear the air on something.
Please.
You can't hire Steve Harvey for $10,000 to do nothing.
Thanks.
no, you hear that? He's saying, now that he wouldn't have done it for $10,000. That's nothing to him. That's absolute. That's candy money. No, to continue to purchase my soul, it's gonna cost a lot more than that, brother. And the only reason why Steve was calm with him was because Umar came out humbly. He came out very humbly. He said, listen, I love you guys. Like it's no beef, no drama. But let me just state something to you right quick. Let me just show you where you're wrong. And Steve somewhat appeared to have shown him just now some love, but that was fake love, because now you're going to go and stab him in the back and talk about the sum of money that was offered to him allegedly.
Let me just A that out the way.
And B.
Now, I don't know where you got that number from, but you can't offer Steve Harvey $10,000 to do nothing. No, you can go through the industry and ask about me.
That's
Bro,
hey.
let me tell you something. Omar, let me tell you something, man. And there ain't no hate here at all, cause I like some of the work he does. I really do.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I don't
He said
I don't do nothing for $10,000. Don't even insult. Don't insult the brand equity that I've built over these 30 years.
Yeah.
No, you didn't build it. What you did was you sold your people out on many occasions, and you have sold your soul for the price of fame. Cat Williams discussed it. I'm not going to even really play any more of this, but Steve was very disrespectful when it came down to this response, because he has sold his soul. He could talk about God all he wants to, but there's proof in the pudding. I don't see it. You can't live with yourself, or a lot of people do live with themselves, knowing that they have betrayed their people. They are so fearful in the fact that I will lose everything. Anytime you go against that entity which has brought you success and fortune and fame, when you go against the ideas and the agenda of those people, you will definitely be punished. I have so many witnesses. You cannot have a mind of your own when you are in certain groups. And I'll leave it at that. Cat Williams said, I believe it was in February of this year on the Shannon Sharp show, he said, we're going to find out a lot of things this year. And I don't care about who you vote for or what you got going on, but there was an abortion bus that was right there at the DNC offering free vasectomies for men and abortions for women. It's not just about women in general. It's a very specific group that they wish to annihilate. Margaret Sanger. And we're sending our kids to the slaughterhouse by the millions each year. These people, the Divine Nine, could care less. And also the things, you don't have to take my word for it. You could go on YouTube and look at how many people have denounced their sorority or their fraternity group because they, going back to what we just learned about from the book, they understood after being in those organizations what those organizations were all about. It was not for the betterment of our people. What you have to do in those hazing phases, what you have to bow down to. A lot of stuff goes on in these societies that are demonic. And when you have that type of energy rolling within you, I could care less how much you make. I could care less how many people follow you. I could care less about all of that. When you sell your soul, when you have sold not only your soul that belongs to you, but you've also sold out your people, I hope you enjoy this life to the fullest. And I hope that you receive everything that this life has to offer you. Because if you do not apologize and get it right very soon, you're gonna have to answer for that. You're gonna have to answer for it. Or your children's children is gonna have to answer for it. I'm gonna leave you with this last thing, and then I'm gonna go for this video because I have another topic I want to talk about. But when you think about the biblical story of Moses and how Moses was a Jew, okay? He was a Jew, and at that time, what a coincidence, at that time, Pharaoh, they were killing all of the babies because they heard of a prophecy of the coming of a savior, and he will come out of the seed of David. So they knew about the prophecy even back there in Egypt. And so during that time, Pharaoh, he made a decree to kill all of the young boys that were 2 and under years of age. And so Moses' biological mom couldn't imagine a soldier bursting in her house, a soldier grabbing her son by the feet, slicing his head off, or maybe I shouldn't say that, but dismembering him and making sure that he was dead. She couldn't imagine that's something that she birthed into the world was at risk of high risk of becoming non-existent very soon. She couldn't fathom to think. She heard the stories of her neighbors. She heard the stories of other mothers who had suffered the repercussions of the decree that was made by Pharaoh. So she said no. She prayed. I'd rather put him in a basket. I'd rather push him down the stream. I'd rather push him down the river. I'd rather push him away at my own hands than for someone to unalive him and it's over. She took her faith. She prayed. She put Moses into a basket. Moses went on with the waves and the currents. He went on and he found his way into the house of Pharaoh. Pharaoh's wife. He found his way to Pharaoh's place. There he was able to live as a prince. He didn't know what it was to be hungry. Pharaoh's wife, Ramesses or whoever, the people who of the castle, they took him in, treated him as their own. Under Pharaoh's heir was Moses. He was the next in line. He was the next in line after Pharaoh's son of ruling the whole kingdom. Every imaginable thought, wish, would like to have came to be. Pharaoh called himself, I believe it was the morning star. So everything that Moses could ever want was at his feet. He was different. He was an actual Jew. He came from a different lineage than what Pharaoh and his people came from. Different lineage, but they still treated him well. So once upon a time, Moses finally was out and about, and he came across his biological brother and sister, and they told him who he was and what's going on with their people. My people, our people is hurting. You are not. That's not your biological. That's not your biological mother and father. Our mother sent you away to save your life. She sent you away so that you may live. And when Moses went back and he started pondering on this and trying to find out, he couldn't wrestle with both his spirit and what was going on around him. He could have stayed quiet. He could have just stayed in the palace and maybe did a little something here and there for his people. He could have did that. He could have continued to live that life of plenty. But he couldn't live with himself. He had a heart. He had a soul, which is lacking in a lot of us today. So Moses, he denounced all of the riches that he had access to. They couldn't understand. Moses, you're in the palace. You don't have no needs, no wants, no nothing. You're a son of Pharaoh. What is you talking about? You want to go back down there with your people? Are you crazy? Don't you know we eat off of 24 karat gold. Don't you know that we have vasers and we have real fruits and vegetables in our water? Like, oh, you got the best life ever. And you want to fight for these people? You say these are your people? Moses said, yeah. And he was used in order to free the Jews. He was the vessel that was used. He couldn't live with himself. But these characters out here, they don't want to be used so badly that they're willing to sell you out. Please let me know what you think. Like, share, comment below, and I will see you in the next video. May God bless.